We are now joined by Harriet Hughes, who is the CMO over at Playstack. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you. Very well.
And what is it that you folks do at Playstack?
So we are a games publisher first and foremost. We've published a huge array of mobile and console titles, our most successful being Mortal Shell, which came out in 2020 and is continuing to see success on all platforms. And more recently, we've developed some adtech in-house, which is called Interact. And that's the reason why we're at Pocket Gamer today, to showcase Interact and what it can do for mobile games developers in particular.
Right, I saw this. This was covered on PG Biz actually last year. I saw it pop up. So what is this based around? I saw talk about non-interruptive ads or ads that don't interfere or interrupt a player's experience. What is it? How would you explain it, basically?
Yeah, that's right. So we've sort of noticed a trend in mobile gaming over the past sort of 5 years where ads are just creeping into the experience more and more. In some cases, there's almost more adverts than there is actual gameplay. And it's getting more and more frustrating for gamers. And essentially, we're gamers first and foremost, and we wondered if there was a different way for brands to be involved with games in a way that was just far more exciting and rewarding for both the games developers and the players themselves. And that's really what Interact is all about. We've got a lot of brand experience. We've got other games where brands feature very heavily, and we wanted to bring that knowledge and those relationships to play, not just for our own games, but for the games developers around the world.
So people are used to seeing ads pop up in games. It's kind of the most common way that people monetize things nowadays. Either an ad will suddenly pop up, full screen, dominate, and there'll be a little counter for 30 seconons in the corner, and a lot of people get frustrated and tap the thing and miss by 0.5 millimeter. Now that they've been hyperlinked somewhere else. How is this different?
Right, so yeah, that's exactly right. What we've noticed is that people put their phone, they face it down when that ad is showing, and then they'll pick it up, when the ad is over, so that they get those rewards, but they didn't actually engage with the advert at all. So we've got a huge variety of different ways that developers can put brands into their game using Interact. It can be very simple and straightforward, where it is just a billboard showcasing the brand within the game, or it can be much more like a sponsorship opportunity. So the game that we're showcasing as an example here today is a tennis game. And you can see that the developer can choose to put branding on the tennis court, but they can also put branding on the tennis players, on their t-shirts, on their hats, on their shoes, on their tennis rackets. So you can use the SDK to find the very best and most seamless ad placements that you can imagine within your game. And you can make that really a part of the gameplay experience. So if you've got a building game, for example, you don't just have to have a billboard. You can have an actual building as part of the builder game, which was your advert essentially, that you could choose where to position that, and you could use that advert as a benefit within your base building game, for example. It's almost like sky is the limit. And the other great thing about it, as you say, about taking the player away, in our case, the player has a lot of choice. So they could either choose to tap on the ad, and if it was a tappable ad, then yes, it might play a video, or it might take them on a hyperlink elsewhere. But we're also building the technology to be able to save for later. So what that means is that anything that they've seen as they've been playing through that they're excited about, they don't have to be taken away. They can just store it, and then once they want to come back to it, they'll come back to it and find that they've got a QR code for a free coffee, or they've got a voucher off for a particular brand. So we're building a lot of different ways that they can be rewarded, but they don't have to be taken away from the experience.
In many ways, it sounds a little bit like the way that product placement is used within movies and TV, where it's a kind of an organic part of whatever's going on, or the environment.
And obviously the beauty of games is that we can make it interactive. So they'll see that product placement, it will feel totally right, it will feel totally integrated, but yes, they will know that it's from a brand, and there'll be a little tappable icon, or there'll be something that will signal that there's something in it for them. So it can be interactive in a way that obviously TV and movies just can't be.
Does that introduce difficulties in terms of data tracking? So when an ad pops up at a certain point every time, it's kind of very easy to determine, okay, we can see how players behave during that 30 seconds. If it's more, I guess, holistic, more organic, where stuff will be placed around an environment and they may encounter it, a player might wander across it at a different time to another player, does that mean it's quite difficult to get data feedback, or is it actually just a different way of gathering data?
It's a different way of gathering the impressions, and obviously we want those impressions to be real impressions. So this goes back to kind of the way that we're building this and what concerns us the most, which is quality and being genuine, and the player experience, and counting something when we know that it really counts, when we know that there has been engagement, when we know that the player has definitely seen that and understood it and knows what it is, as opposed to just counting an impression as a tiny little pixel in the corner when, you know, somebody's whizzed by it in a racing game. That's not an impression. Like nobody saw that. Nobody actually knew that that was what that was. So everything that we do is about building quality impressions and genuine experiences into the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So how have you been rolling this out so far? Have developers been working with you in a kind of a beta way? Has it already been out in the wild for quite a while?
It's very much in the beta stage at the moment, and it's very much something that we wanted to do and are doing within our own games. So we've got, having been around for nearly 6 years, we've got quite a big portfolio of our own mobile games, and we're busy getting it into all of those. And then we're bringing on board developers that, yeah, they're excited and they want to work with us in this early phase, and we're very, very much on hand for them. You know, we're coming at it developer to developer. We're not from an adtech background. We're not, as I said, just sort of trying to force feed adverts into games. We want to work with developers and look at their game and think about where the placement makes the most sense, where it will be the most exciting for the player, where it's almost surprising and it's rewarding and it's just a nice experience for everybody. So those are the developers that we're working with at the moment. We're working with developers that we can really, you know, bring into the Playstack family with regards to this.
And I'm guessing 2022 is all about trying to expand that developer pool and reach out to more people.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, the other great thing for developers is that once they've integrated the SDK, then if there's a particular market, for example, where there isn't the brand relationships, where we can't get the brand fill in that particular market, they can use it for cross-promoting their own games. So that's another really nice sort of side effect of having it in their game, if you like.
How have the brands you're talking about, the people who are actually doing the advertising rather than the people receiving it, how have they reacted to this? Are they skeptical?
Brands are really excited.
Are they?
Yeah, brands are really excited. I mean, we've got some really good relationships with brands already, and you know, gone are the days of needing to explain the value of games to brands. They get it. Like, all brands now want to be in games. They all understand what that means. They've all seen the success of Fortnite, for example, and you know, Ariana Grande concerts happening in Fortnite. They all know what brands look like in games. And really, with this tech, a brand can have a Fortnite experience in a very simple, easy to integrate way. You know, if you think about those brand integrations in Fortnite and how long they take to set up, our SDK enables that in a mobile world in, you know, literally the blink of an eye. I mean, because it will identify where the brands can be, what that integration can look like, and you know, you don't have to spend months and months of development time trying to get a Ariana Grande t-shirt into your game. You know, it really is quite straightforward. It really is just a question of getting the logo and the assets and determining where they should go, and it's it.